Hey everybody, it's Gail, and I am here with the Freehand Project, which is this little belt bag that I'm wearing. So these bags were something that you saw in a bunch of different places, kind of around the 50s especially. And the idea was you could make a pretty little belt that had a little tiny pouch, and in that tiny pouch you would carry a handkerchief and a lipstick. Because of course, if you were a woman in the 1950s, why would you need money? So these bags, they're adorable. They're great. I love them. Now, the original designs are too small for modern credit cards to give you a sense of how tiny they really are. And so it's not that they're difficult to adjust. It's that in this case, I needed a place to hold my credit card and my calling cards and a couple of other small things for convention purposes while in costume. And the costume in question is my Captain Marvel dress. And if you go and look at the Captain Marvel costume I always use for reference, she has a belt with a big gold clasp and then a bit of draping. I'll say frippery because I can't think of the word that I mean. So frippery. And I actually do have an extra piece that goes onto the back of this in Velcro so that it hangs down with the intention of adding that extra red to the costume. But, you know, that's why this one is made the way that it is. And that's the reason I freehanded it, because this exact shape is not something that you find in these older patterns. They're always little tiny purses, basically. There is a Tunisian pattern I found that looks super cute, but I also recently tried Tunisian again for the first time in years and realized I really don't like it, so I'm never going to make it. So I can't speak to the pattern itself. But cute bag. I will have links to everything I possibly can down in the basement so that you can grab one of these vintage patterns. Works for you. They're also found a lot in like quick tricks in crochet, using up spare thread in crochet because they're very small. So the way that you make them, and they're all made basically the same way. So you've got two parts. You've got the belt itself, and you've got the pouch. So the belt itself is usually about 1 inch to 1.5 inches tall. And then you make it to your waist size plus a few inches. This one is actually almost too short because I think I only added 2 inches. I probably should have gone up to 4. I would say add 4 or 5 inches to your waist measurement to make sure you have enough, because what happens is when you fold it over onto the belt end itself, you're going to lose 1 inch there. And then when you are putting it through the belt loop, depending on the type of belt loop you use, I really like these because they're just one piece. I have to get this right side out. Hold on. I have a master's degree. Once you curl it through there, you're going to lose at least another 1/2 inch in the fold of it here. So just be aware of that as you're working. And I used a basket weave stitch because I like the texture of it. And then on the back of the belt, and this is something I learned from those patterns I was just talking about, I sewed a length of gross grain ribbon that is the same length as the belt. And what that does is stops the belt from stretching out of shape. So in this case, I have a 33-inch waist, and you add 5 inches to that, 38? So if I'd made this at 38 like I should have to have that extra end, putting the ribbon on means that it will stay at 38 inches. It's not, you can see here, it's not stretching out. So that's one of those like vintage tips that I've learned, and I'm just like, holy shit, I'm using that all the time. So stage 1, belt. Stage 2, pouch. So I just made this pouch by working in a circle until it was large enough that when I laid like my credit cards and my calling cards on it, they could fit and have some room. Just to give it a little bit of definition, I worked some single crochets around the edge for 3/4 of it so that you have a little bit of difference between the top and the sides. It also acts as a nice reinforcement for the sides when you sew the two pieces together. And then on the back, you just you make a loop. I single crocheted across and then worked down until the loop was slightly taller than the height of the belt so that it'll slip on and off really easily. The other thing that I did is I just put little Velcro patches up on the inside so that I can close it and just have a little more security that nothing's going to fall out if I bend weird. And then, you know, once you've got the loop on, you run the belt through it, and then you can move it where you want on the belt, and it, you know, it does what it needs to do. You've got a place to hold a few small items, so that they do not escape, and you don't have to carry everything in your hands. And yeah, it's one of those things that I don't make very often, but when I think of them, I like how clever they are. Like, obviously it's a precursor to the fanny pack, but you don't always need a whole fanny pack. Also, seeing fanny packs come back is very funny to me because they were cool when I was like really young, and then by the time I was like old enough to need something to carry my shit in, they were very, very uncool, and now they're cool again. So, you know, yay. So that is the basics of how to do this. I have gone ahead and written up some instructions that are over on my website, icrochetedthething.com, and I will include links to the patterns that I've also linked down here, and I'll have just a written out walkthrough with some basic schematics to help you make something that will hopefully fit you and be what you're looking for. Because I know sometimes it's easier to work off written instructions than it is to listen to my half put together ramble and try to make stuff from that. Speaking of a half put together ramble, this was made of fingering weight yarn, but that is not required. You can make it out of whatever weight yarn you want. And yeah, I think that's it for this little fun piece here. As always, if you enjoy what I do here, please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, all that good stuff. My website is linked down below. Any patterns that I can still find live will be linked down below. And I update about every 10 days, so I will see you in 10 days.